EntreSkills is the New York Small Business Development Center's online entrepreneurial education tool, and it's used by high school teachers, college professors, as well as community organizations and our Small Business Development Center clients. And it's free for all New York State educators and students. And I like to emphasize that there is no wrong way to use EntreSkills. We have some teachers that are using EntreSkills in its entirety and others that are using just bits and pieces of it. You can have your students register for accounts, but that's not, you don't have to do that. And I will cover how we do that today. So what I'm going to go over is how to have your students register. We'll look at what's in the content, and we'll look at how to use the different features that are available in the educator's account. And again, I am taking questions throughout, so if at any time something's unclear or you want me to go over it again, just let me know. Or if you have a question that I haven't covered, just let me know. So everybody on already has a teacher account, so I won't cover how to register as a teacher. I'm going to go ahead and log in as a teacher. And if you ever forget your username or password, you can use this I forgot my username or password link, or you can just simply contact us and we'll help you out. And we are here, the EntreSkills team is available regular business hours, Monday through Friday. Usually we're in by 7:30 and usually we stay till about 4. So that's when we're usually available, but you should hear back from us within 24 hours during the week. So logging in, and some of you might have already logged in to see what's in here. The main menu page shows you the 15 chapters, and then there is also the teacher's menu. And I'll just quickly go through some of the chapter content. It runs through how to start a business, how to grow your business, and even how to close your business down. And for those of you just joining us, we will take questions throughout. So if you have a question, just type it into the question pane on the control panel. So each chapter starts out the same. They have an overview and objectives page, a success story, and then it jumps into the chapter content. And you'll find throughout the chapters, there are 2 sets of questions. There are worksheet questions, and starting in chapter 4, section 2, there are business plan questions. So the business plan questions, whatever answers are put into these business plan boxes will go into the user's business plan. And the worksheet questions just reinforce what is covered in the chapter. So we'll go back to chapter 1. So you can see the first worksheet question asks, how do you define entrepreneurship? And these 2 sets of questions are the chapter work that students will find as they move through the chapters. And the answers the students put in here, you'll be able to see from your teacher account. And I'll show you that in a little bit. So again, you have access to the same chapter content that your students have access to. And one tip I do suggest is that teachers create a student account. If you're going to have your students use EntreSkills and register for the program, definitely create a test student account so you can see what they're seeing. So I'm not going to spend too much time going through the chapter content since you do have access to this. And in chapter 1, section 4, it gives you an overview of what's in the entire course. So that's a quick way to see what each chapter covers. So I'm going to go through these features of the teacher menu. The first thing are my classes. And for those of you who have just created a teacher account, you won't see anything when you click here. The reason you would create a class would be if you're having a student register. So you can see in my teacher account, I have a number of classes. So I'll go through each of the buttons here. The class details just tell me what the class name is, the start and end date, just basic information. Students links to the list of students that are in each class. Assignments will link to the assignments that you've assigned for each of the classes. And you can click this deactivate button and deactivate a class, which you might want to do if it's from a previous school year. So that's just a quick overview of that. And I'll get into the students and assignments buttons in a little bit more detail. If you're just starting out and you want to have your students register, you'll need to create a class. And you just click on the create a class button, give your class a name, select the information, and I'm just typing in random things, and then click create class. And once you do that, it'll generate this class code, which you can see here. You can also see that by going to your class list. Your newly created class will be here. And the reason you want to look for that class code or that class ID is you'll give it to your students when they go to register. So I'll jump over and show you how to have your students register. So I've got that class code, which is 292. So have your students go to EntreSkills.org and click the register button, and they'll choose register as a student. And they're asked to create their own username and then input their first and last name. A good tip here to avoid problems down the line is to tell your students which username that you want them to use and what password you want them to use. One of my teachers has told me that's what she does, and that helps alleviate any issues with forgot passwords or usernames. They'll be asked to select which school district they're in, and then their school. Then they look for their teacher's name, and here's where they need that class code. And then they'll create a password and click submit. Once they do that, they'll get an email saying that they've been, that their registration information has been received. They'll need to wait for you to activate them before they'll have access to their EntreSkills account. And to activate your students, you would go to the student list. And any students that need to be activated would be highlighted in yellow. And all you need to do is click the Activate Now button, and they'll be activated, and they'll be sent an email letting them know that they've been activated. So that is the reason for creating a class, and so that you can get that class code and have your students register. Now from the student list, you can look at a few things. The plan and the worksheet buttons will link you to that student's work on their business plans and their worksheet questions. And again, the worksheet and business plans, those are questions they'll encounter as they work through the chapters in EntreSkills. You can also deactivate a student. You can also click on this details button. And it brings you to the student details page, where you can do a number of things. It'll show their class grade. This is based on any assignments you've given them that they've completed. You can give them an optional business plan grade, a grade on the worksheet questions. You can also adjust their grade from this page. If your student's registered for the wrong class, but they are your student, you can use this. To move them to another class, you can also delete the student from this page. This will also show this one student's completed an in-progress assignments, which you can grade from this page. And there's also another way to grade for the whole class, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. And this View Chapter Status button will let you know if a student has read to the end of the chapter. There's a place for them to mark a chapter complete. Which I'll show you that. So if the students read through to the end of the chapter, they'll see this. They can click this complete button. And so your students might figure out that they can just go to the end of a chapter and click that, but it'll also show you what date and time they clicked that complete button. So you'll see that here. The My Assignments button brings you to a list of any assignments that you've created. If you have a new account, you'll only see the SBDC pre-assessment exam and the post-assessment exam. You won't see these other things. These are all user-created assignments. And from this page, you can edit assignment details. That's just the name and the chapter affiliation. You can also, as you can see, delete the assignment from this page. If you want to reorder any questions or edit any questions on that assignment, you can do that here. Clicking on these arrows just moves assignments or questions up and down. You can assign point values here. And it's also from this My Assignments page that you would take a created assignment and assign it to your class, which you do simply by clicking on Add to Class, select the class, and the date available, it's available to students. We also have, so you can put in a time that it's available, as well as a time when it's due. And the system does recognize if it's due today, the 5th at 5 p.m., that's when it'll close to the students. And if I'm confusing anyone, please let me know. So that's a quick look at the My Assignments page. You can create a new assignment from here or from right here. And you can use these assignments for tests or just as assignments for your students. So you just give your assignment a name. You can select a chapter association. And then it brings you to the question bank. There are two parts in the question bank. There are EntreSkills canned questions that are already created for you. And then there are any questions that you create. So again, if you have a new account, you won't see anything down here unless you create questions. And there are different question types. There are essay, multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, and short answer. The multiple choice and the true, false questions, once you create assignments with those will be auto-graded by the system. So to add questions, you can just go through and click and add them. And then once you're done adding the questions you want, you click edit and assign points. And here you can go through, remove questions if you decided you don't want them, assign points. And these are just some silly questions that we've used for testing purposes. You can also add questions from here. So that's how you create an assignment. And again, once you create an assignment, It'll show up on your list of assignments, and then it'll be available to add to a class. And again, it does look at the time and the date. You can give an assignment instructions if you'd like, and then click Add Assignment to Class. And here's the question bank. This will be, again, if you have a new account, you won't see anything here unless you've created questions. And to create a question, you just click Create New Question. You select which type of question it is, and then you would type in your question. And if it's multiple choice or true false, you would put the answers in. And then you would select a chapter association and click Create Question. And it'll show up in your list of questions. Business plan, this links to all of your students' business plan work. So first you would need to select the class that you're viewing from the drop-down menu, and then the student, and that student's work will populate the fields. You just expand each of the headings to see what work they've done. And that's how you would review a student's business plan work. Teachers can type into these boxes, and you would then click Save to save what you've typed in. We've also added this comment section so that you don't have to actually type into the work a student's done. You can just use this Add New Comment. Click Save. The student will see that from his or her account. And you can go through and look at your different students' work. From this page, you can export a student's business plan. You can export it as either a Word or a text document. And the worksheets work the same way. And again, the worksheet questions are found as the students move through the chapters. The worksheet questions are organized by chapter and section. And again, you'd select the class and then the student, and whatever work the student's done, you'd be able to see here. Crosswalks and activities. We have crosswalks for each of the chapters. Which you can look at these on your own. And then these chapter activities are just vocabulary word activities, crossword puzzles and fill in the blank and so forth. Students have access to these. They, of course, don't have the answer keys. These are just PDF files. And then we have, I just want to point out under resources, we have supplemental activities for each of the chapters. And these are writing prompts and discussion questions and individual projects, just different things you can look at, give you some ideas on what you might do with your students. And I'm going through all the features that EntreSkills has, but again, you don't have to use all of them. You can use what you like, what works best for you. If you want to issue course certificates for your students, you can do that by clicking here. There's a PDF file that you can fill in and then print out. And the comment manager is just a way to communicate with your students. You can either send a message to a student or to an entire class. And it can be just a general comment or it can be associated with their business plan. So just type it in and click save. So if you're sending it to your class, everyone in that class will get that message when they log into their EntreSkills account. And this business plan link is the same as this link here. If you ever need any help, you can click on the help link. There are some frequently asked questions here. You can also contact us here. Going back to the resources, we have all the references for each chapter here. And all the links that are within the chapters are also listed here. And there's a glossary of terms found throughout. So I'm going to go back to the student account. This is an old student test account that I've been using, so there are a lot of past due assignments here, but any new assignments would also show up here. They can access all their assignments by clicking on this link. So anything that you've assigned to them will show up here, and they would just click go. That brings them to the assignment that you created and assigned, and they can go through, select the right answers. When they're done, they click submit. And if they're not done with the assignment, they have until the end date and time to go back and work on it again. So they would find that under the completed and in progress assignments, and they would just click the resume button and they can go back and continue working on the assignment. And once an assignment's been graded, they'll have access to the answers just by clicking on the assignment name, and they can see what they got wrong or what they got right. I apologize, this is moving a little slowly today. Now, sometimes students will miss a class or there might be a snow day. So if an assignment's been missed, you can extend the due date for it rather than reassigning it. And you do that by going to My Classes, clicking on the assignments button for that particular class. And you can see here, you've got a list of your open assignments, any closed assignments. And you just simply click on the extend due date button. You can select for the class or for student only. And then for student only, you'd select the student you're extending it for, choose the new due date, and then click update. And that student will still have access to that assignment, even if the date's passed. Does anybody have any questions or any comments so far? To grade assignments, you do that from the My Classes list. Go back to Assignments. And click on the View Grade Assignments button. This is one way to go through and grade. You can also go in via the each student's details and grade that way. So like I said, some of the tests will auto grade, and those are the ones that are multiple choice and true false. However, if you need to, you can click on the Adjust Grade button and you can override what the system has put in. Anything that's not auto-graded will have this awaiting grade. And you just click on that, and then you can go through and see what the student answered, assign any points. And click submit. And that's all there is to grading it. And again, you can also do that by going to the students list, clicking on details. You can adjust grades from here. You can see these two assignments are still in progress. The due date and time hasn't been reached yet. And here you're able to review what the students have done so far. And you could add a comment if you want them to do more work on something. Let's say you assigned some essay questions. You could type in here to if you wanted them to do more work on something, just type it in here and click save. And the student will see that when they log into their account. So here I am in a student account again. And I can see. So then the student would be able to go back to their assignments. And go back to number 5 and rework that and then click submit. And their new answers will have been submitted. Now students can access the business plan builder 2 ways. They can go right to the business plan summary section and work on it here. They can click here to view in chapter to see more information about what is being asked of them. Or they can work on the business plan questions as they move through the chapters. So again, some teachers will assign to their students to read through chapter 1 and answer all the questions. Or you might have your students just jump in and complete one section of the business plan. It's up to you how you want to work that. Students can email teachers directly here. And students can access those supplemental activities from their accounts. And they also have access to the vocabulary activities here. And like teachers, students can also export their business plans by going to the business plan summary page and clicking on the export business plan button. So that's a really quick overview of the features of EntreSkills. Does anybody have any questions, or is there anything that is confusing or you'd like me to cover again? Now, as I mentioned, EntreSkills is part of the Small Business Development Center. So I'm showing you our New York Small Business Development Center web page. And I wanted to point out a couple things. We have 22 offices around the state. So if you go to the location section on our website, you can see where each of the locations are. Many of our centers are willing to send an advisor to come speak to your class, or they might have a business that they could refer to you if you wanted someone to come in and speak. So that's an option. Training, this links to a lot of our centers have workshops scheduled. So you could take a look at these. These are open to anybody. And we also have some resources. We have some publications that we put out. We don't put the full publication on the website, but if you see something of interest, you can contact the center closest to you and request copies of these publications. So some of these might be of interest, like the Recipes for Success is really popular. That's on selling food products. And just like EntreSkills, our Small Business Development Center services are free. So Sarah said she thinks she's good. It was good to see the setup firsthand. Rachel, how about you? Is there anything that you would like me to cover again, or did you have questions that I didn't answer? And Jennifer, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And if you think of anything after the webinar or as you're using this with your class, if you have any problems, just let us know. Again, we're here Monday through Friday, regular business hours. Best way to contact us is to just use the contact form on the website. That way, if one of us is out, it goes to the whole team. So we'll be able to answer your questions as quickly as possible. So again, some best tips if you're having your students register for an account, it's probably best to dictate to them what username and password they use. That way it might alleviate issues down the line. And again, all teachers should create a test student account. If your students don't have their own email addresses, they can use your teacher email address. That's fine. And so that's it. I realize that was really quick, but again, it's good to just jump in and take a look and start using it. So I'll go ahead and wrap things up. And I hope your school years are off to a great start. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Take care, everybody.